Hey, this is Garett with RuffStuff Specialties, and today's podcast is number 19. Is that how I started out? How do I normally do it?
I think that's about it.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
And I got Zach here with me.
Hey.
And it's just us today. So we wanted to do like a 2020 recap. And
Because it was definitely an interesting year.
Yeah, and just talk about the year and kind of share as much as we can with everyone. And I thought kind of to start that process, it might be cool to just share like what a standard week actually looks like at RuffStuff. So I know Zach is like runs operations essentially here. So why don't you go ahead, Zach?
So on any given week, you're just regular run of the mill, one of the 52. Start off Monday, kind of try to play catch up from last week, kind of start signing out what the big main priorities for each department's going to be. Generally, managers just working out on their own. But then Tuesday, we all get together in the morning first thing, and we kind of go over everything, just department meeting, kind of run through the jam. And then Wednesday, we kind of go over some website development. Sometimes we'll have a production meeting as well. We'll also have some leadership training that day. It's a pretty busy day as far as meetings go, but a bunch of good stuff because it just kind of keeps us getting better, either through leadership, through kind of figuring out what issues are going on in different departments or different kind of production lines, because we don't have just one production line anymore. We got quite a bit going on from the day to day. And then day after that, Thursday, we jump into a product development meeting first thing in the morning, kind of go over the issues with that and kind of where we're at and where we're trying to be. And any other time that's not one of those hours, we are just going full throttle. Everybody's working pretty hard lately and trying to keep up with everything we are doing. But that's kind of how the average RuffStuff week runs out.
Yeah, and we found that like if we skip more than 1 week or one meeting, so come around the week number 2, it's kind of like mayhem. Like everyone's confused. Like there's a gap in communication. We've been like really disciplined about just like having like these meetings every week, regardless of what's going on.
Gets Mad Max pretty quickly out here.
Yeah, even if it's like comes the following week, we just kind of postpone it. We'll run the Tuesday meeting to Wednesday just to make sure we're all on the same page and getting the job done. So
things like holidays, other junk like that, will throw a big wrench in it, but it's worth coming together and making sure we make that time to just at least touch base for 15, 20 minutes, make sure everybody's, on the same page. So we're not wasting each other's time doing different stuff, It's all about working together.
So 2020, how'd that start out for you, Zach?
Started out pretty normal and wish it stayed that normal, but yeah, that was really the beginning of January is when we were kind of talking more seriously about investing in some more equipment and kind of, what's our kind of dream goal for the year, and one of the big ones was picking up a laser cutter, fiber optic laser cutter. And, from there, we were just kind of putting plans together. I think, was that when we had the ST15 or had we got it the month before?
I can't remember if we got it in December, but I know it started like operating January.
Gotcha.
So normally we it seems like year end is like pretty common for tools and stuff.
It's a good time to get stuff.
Yeah. Good prices and whatnot. So yeah, but that was for the that was an ST15.
Yeah.
Haas.
The big chuck.
Yeah. They have like a 2.5 inch through bore, I think, on that one. So we can just run some bigger components on there. And the laser was like, I remember that just being like a headache because we were told by one company that we needed like something like 500 amps to
like
run
a ridiculous peak number. As the minimum.
So we're like looking at like power upgrades. We're like, how the heck are we gonna do this thing?
And PG&E is not like doing well right now, so it's hard to get them to get any balls rolling.
Yeah, it's expensive to do a power upgrade too, if anyone knows about that. So that put us at a big standstill. And then I think a lot of January is also like prepping for King of the Hammers. So like at the beginning of the year and December as well. So we're just like prepping. And then our King of the Hammers is like a big event for us. And that's in February. And like it's going on right now actually while we're recording this.
Yeah. Generally, we'll start middle of December, really starting, getting our shit together on that and just packing and prepping and getting trailers loaded. And in a perfect world, we got 2 weeks, the trailer's loaded, we're good to go. We dump the food in a few days before and take off, And I actually missed
2020 King of the Hammers because I had a newborn.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, I actually didn't get to experience.
Ava was super young. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember you saying how just badass everyone did that year.
Yeah, the team was killing it. That's for sure. Yeah, anybody that's been to KOH knows whether you're working a booth or you're a spectator or you are a racer, it is a team sport. That is for sure. And yeah, the boys all really came along and made stuff happen. You know, it's pretty cool to have pretty much almost everything ready to go about 2 weeks ahead of schedule.
And for those of you actually who don't know, who are listening, like for King of the Hammers, for us, like we're not there racing. We have some companies that like Lincoln Electric that have sponsored us and helped us out, and Zach can probably vouch for the other ones, but we go down there and we bring a bunch of Lincoln welding gear and we do free repairs on racers, on spectators, and whoever, and we don't charge anything for that.
Yeah, rangers, police officers, random volunteers that had a hard time getting out to a remote pit or something.
Yeah, it's been challenging, but it's like it gets better every year because we just get more organized and we figure stuff out more.
Exactly.
There's tons of companies that like team up with us, like Rugged Radios and
we got like Raceline Wheels. Yeah, they've always really had our backs out there. And Lincoln Electric, just the welding equipment alone is huge what they provide for us.
I mean, we couldn't do any of that without the welding equipment.
Yeah, I know. But then even last year, just consumables, even down to like tips, to hoods, to gloves, anything, all the gear. It's thousands of dollars a year they send us.
Safety equipment.
It's just spectacular support from them. And
Rugged gives us like radios so we can communicate. We got Milestar tires too.
Yeah, that was a big one. So that was a new one this year. Yeah, we got Milestar, which they got the trucks decked out. They got the big work flatbed trailer, which if you ever broke your rig KOH, you come to RuffStuff for some help, you probably worked off that trailer. It's a big flat deck. All 4 of the 305 Lincolns on there. And that's the kind of main work area. Yeah, they got them all decked out. And then 2020, we also had DeWalt sign on with us, which is pretty sweet.
That's so cool. Yeah,
that was dope. That was just awesome.
When I heard that was going on, I'm like, really? Like, how did we get a hold of them?
No, I really didn't think it was going to work. But random guy. I think I found his... somehow got his email from LinkedIn or something after some stalking and gawking and just trying to find it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Nice guy. Nathaniel helped me out. And, a ton of impacts, a ton of big drills. Give us like a cooler, some tool chests, all kinds of different gear.
It's like a Bluetooth impact or something, or you're like,
that's right. It, yeah. If you're like walk away beyond a certain distance, it'll turn it off and it will never work.
So don't leave your phone too far from your impact, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You also turn it off when people are just randomly using it. It's pretty funny.
That's funny.
But yeah, it was a really good team effort out there. And it was probably our best year organizationally wise, because it can be, KOH can be a total shit show. And we have had many RuffStuff KOH shit shows like again and again and again. But this year, 2020, we killed it. And team came together. We were organized. Things were delegated quickly and we were on it, man. Just absolutely on it.
That's cool.
But then, pretty much right as soon as we got back from that, start hearing rumors of this new thing going around, COVID. And it sounded like it sucked, but just didn't figure it would affect us at all at that point.
Yeah, I remember like having conversations about it. And I was like, man, like we're good. Don't worry about it. It's just, like everyone, it's just a flu. And it kept, obviously, everyone, I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing about COVID. So you guys know. Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was went from nothing to just something that's annoying in the news. You're like, cool, whatever. I don't care what's going on over there, whatever.
Yeah.
And then March kind of came around and it kind of became a little bit more real.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you start hearing about it in California, shit like that. And
were the shutdowns in March or April?
I think it was end of March. I looked it up earlier today.
Okay.
Because the week it got shut down, I got snowed in at my house. And wasn't able to leave my house for like 6 or 7 days.
So you were locked.
I was frozen in. Yeah, we got like 2.5 feet of snow in like probably 40 hours. Man, it was just.
I think I remember that. Yeah,
just a mess. And just run off generators and having fun in the snow for as much as it was fun. That's for sure.
I think at that point we just did like the normal stuff. As far as like social distancing and it's like everyone.
I just tried to do whatever we had to kind of, not get attention pretty much and be able to keep operating without a hiccup.
Yeah.
because that was, the big goal is not to have anything force us to get shut down.
Yeah.
And when the governor shut everything down, it was kind of like, what do you do? There wasn't a lot of guidance or clear anything. And it was kind of it seemed like every company at least was kind of left to their own, figure out if they could even legally operate,
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Both of us were scrambling just to make sure, like we were looking at how it was going to affect RuffStuff and we wanted to make sure that we could still employ everyone here, right? And make sure we weren't going to reduce in sales volume. So we're scrambling, like looking for other avenues, looking for ways to pivot and
trying to be more maneuverable and
just get ahead of the curve a little bit versus just waiting to see what happens, right?
Yeah. Because that could have got real. Yeah. Luckily, we never had to hit that worst case scenario.
Yeah.
I was also personally really frustrated because I just kind of got back into being healthy and fitness and working out. And then my gym closed down. And that was super annoying.
Yeah. Same with I think my gym closed down for like a very short time.
And just cowboyed through it.
Yeah, but then like jiu-jitsu definitely closed down like multiple times,
Yeah.
And which is obvious because they're
combat sports.
You're just like face to face. I mean, there's no like
drinking sweat.
Yeah, pretty much. So
yeah, and kind of by that time we started looking at, like Garett said, more contingency plans and kind of like worst case scenarios and. Yeah, kind of a weird month, but it's crazy too because as we're kind of like preparing for the worst, we kind of started getting more busy. We kind of started wondering like why, and it seemed kind of more than anything that people are at home and they got time to work on stuff finally. They got time to hang out with their kids and do some project or something. And
stimulus checks too, probably.
Stimulus checks, yeah. I mean that was probably going out about then, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like pretty early on, like
April maybe something April, like May, that. Yeah, and. Yeah, kind of not what I was expecting.
Yeah, and then also early on, like we obviously as a company, you have to start looking at like compliance issues. So we're looking at, Mallory and I were like watching webinars, like looking at how the HR rules are changing because there's all kinds of like, what's that thing where you can't talk about HIPAA, yeah, like all the HIPAA stuff. Like, so we're like, okay, how do we deal with that? If someone's sick, can we tell everyone? Can we not tell everyone? How do we deal? So it's just like
you're supposed to tell everybody, but you can't tell them who.
Yeah.
But yeah. And it was crazy too, because it's still going on now, but especially then, it was different information from every source.
Yeah,
state had some, county had something different. CDC had something different.
It's like, who do we listen to? Who's going to enforce it, right?
Who's going to come after us? Yeah. Who do we got to keep off our backs and keep able to continue operating with everybody getting, staying employed and whatnot?
Totally.
But yeah, all of a sudden we started getting way busy. And, spring is a busy season for 4-wheel drive companies. That's for sure. Everybody's kind of gearing up for summer good times and whatnot and planning out their last minute stuff to, go have a sweet wheeling season. But it was more than ever. And, I mean, fortunately for us, while a lot of other companies were having to shut down and restaurant industry was just screwed and, kind of hardships across a lot of other industries, we picked up like 3 employees, in about 2 weeks. And kind of fortunate because we needed the help right away and there's people ready to go. And
yeah, I think like Liam and Cassie and Tom,
Andrew, and those were in the summer, I think. But yeah, first we got Andrew and Christina and Mikey.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Those were the first 3. And then we got those others. Mm-hmm. And I mean, in like a month and a half, it's like 6 people thrown in real quick. While other companies are, having a hard time keeping one person on. It's pretty fortunate in that, because it could have been, it could have been so shitty.
It can go any direction. Yeah. Totally.
I mean, there's a lot of people. I know a lot of people that have had a hard time. I know a lot of people have had to shut down their businesses. They've been running for 25 years, a lot of older folks that have been in a certain niche industry for 40 years of their life and it's gone now, Like my favorite steakhouse back home is gone now.
Yeah.
And they just don't know when they can open again,
Yeah. I think I've been hearing stories like that. Even like you go down to New York City and it's just like all the businesses are just gone.
That's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy.
So,
I mean, then, kind of right before summer, I guess like May, we were just getting crazy busy. I mean, it was crazy busy. And that's when we were really starting to consider like, all right, well, we got to get some more equipment going because we are not going to be able to keep up with any of our production goals really,
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, everything was just ramping so hard that, we could not get stuff built fast enough to get out the door, and That's the whole goal. Make people not have to wait, get good gear in people's hands so they can go have a good time, you know?
Yeah. And so that was just like the discussion part of it, right? Like we were just discussing stuff like like April, May-ish. And then, when did we actually start pulling the trigger?
Well, I think it was about May when we were kind of figuring out what we really needed electrical wise.
That's right.
Which was not the 500 amps.
Yeah. We started shopping around, talking to different companies, and like, no, hey, this thing is like 100 amps at 480 volts. Like, okay, cool. Yeah.
And it was like peak. Yeah.
So
it's like we're never going to be just scenario. Full throttle peaking.
Yeah. And that's all the equipment. That's like that was like for a laser, for a chiller, for the dust collector.
Yeah. So the whole 9 yard and air system too, right?
The air is
separate.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
but kind of got more of a green light as far as moving forward on that project, which if you ever bought a house, it's kind of like that. It's a big project, it's a stressful project, but all of a sudden it became more and more clear that we had to move forward on this if we were going to be able to keep up and kind of, hit the year goals that we set for ourselves and what we're trying to do. And then at the same time, kind of ensure that we'll be able to provide more jobs and kind of keep the system flowing here. People will be able to move up and kind of, increase their way of life and be able to, have a better home life by being able to have a, more valuable job.
Yeah. We increase the lead time, speed, employment. I mean, we're just, again, and then also just continuing to make sure everything is made here in the U.S. as much as we can. Right. And so that's like the ultimate
and
goal.
That was also, we'd got that ST15 Haas lathe at the beginning of the year, and all of a sudden, halfway through that year, we're starting to realize like, this is still not enough.
Yeah.
I remember all of a sudden counting it up and we're like, man, we're like almost 40 feet of bar a day. And that's everything a dude's got, just switching bars all day long. And that's when we kind of started exploring. Do we get another lathe? Do we get a bar feeders?
Bar feeders, yeah.
Do we get 2 bar feeders? Do we buy 2 lathes and 2 bar feeders?
Yeah.
And then, we kind of started looking into like, let's just get some super legit kick-ass bar feeders, see what we can do, and kind of started looking for those. I know you were really shopping around for that and trying to figure out what we really, really needed.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like what's available. I'm not like, everything's like a learning process no matter where we go. Like if we're I think we did like a big website change, obviously, and then we're looking at like you look at shipping software or shipping fulfillment software. Like we're not like, you're not like a specialist like in every single thing, so you have to start researching. And so I'm looking at bar feeders, and we're finding there's like 4 foot, there's 6 foot, there's 12 foot. I'm like, okay, what's the cost? What's the benefit? And actually, it's super cool. Like to dive into this a little bit, but the Haas bar feeders are actually, I think technically it's called a bar loader. It says bar feeder on it, but it's just a loader. So it replaces like the human being, and it just loads the material into the machine instead of the human.
What's it hold like?
A 4 foot,
10 or 12?
Oh, it depends. Well, it depends on the diameter of the bar.
Gotcha.
But it's like 2 feet or something like that of length. So if it was
quite
one,
a bit,
it's like if it's looking at 24 1-inch pieces, right? So that one is super cool. So you can just load it and go, right? And then we're looking at this other brand that is a 12 foot piece, so we can have less drops of stainless.
Yeah, the Patriot
Edge Patriot 551. And super cool. I think it's made out of made in like Chicago, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's really unique where it runs a full 12 foot bar. So instead of having like a 4 foot bar inside the lathe and instead of a lathe, there's a liner to keep the bar from like roping around. Well, on our ST15 with the bar loader, with the bar feeder, since it's 12 feet, like there needs to be some sort of a liner or some
that
sort of
thing's going to be lassoing around.
Yeah. So
getting terrifyingly crazy.
I really didn't figure out how this thing worked until I started talking to the salesman, and also until it got here. We're like, oh, this is super cool. It has like a tailstock. So there's like this collet that grabs the end of the material, and that holds the end from like whipping around. And then as it's feeding into the machine, there's like these, what are they called? Like these plastic red clamps that like clamp around the tube or
almost
the bar
like a
stock.
race that like kind of comes in.
Yeah, it's like a way or whatever. And then there's oil that pumps into that valley where the bar is at, and that helps keep the vibration down because it has like surface tension on it. So if there's like a little bit of imbalance, it'll keep it,
kind of dampens that out.
Exactly, and try and keep it centered. And so it can run I think it can run anywhere from like a 3/8 bar all the way up to a 2-inch, I believe, on that item. And the collet is super cool. So the collet is like a tailstock, and yeah, it keeps from whipping around. And then when it's done, it pulls the last little like 2 or 3 inches that you couldn't machine all the way back, and then drops it into a bin for you. So it's like not dropping it into the cut area, which is super cool.
Love it.
So yeah, that thing's awesome.
Yeah, and and during all that time too, we're doing little upgrades around the facilities. Started working on a big project, upgrading the website. Which, if you've been shopping with RuffStuff for a while, there's been some pretty bad websites in the past, and now it's a lot better. Looks, it's a modern looking website. I know you were working on phone system upgrades, all that, and
yeah, our phone system.
We were meeting with Wave a couple times, trying to figure out exactly what we're trying to get out of that. And
yeah, it was hectic. Our phone system became essentially like obsolete or non-supported. So I'm like, okay, what happens if it's non-supported and it goes down? We don't have phones.
Pretty much SOL.
So we're like, okay, crap, better start doing this fast.
And then even switching up payment process, just little business stuff, you got to do to kind of make it work day to day.
Definitely.
Yeah, that was cool. About June, my gym opened back up, so I was stoked on that. That was definitely much needed. But kind of due to more personnel, better practices, whatnot, we started dialing our lead times a little better, and just really getting our production capability up. Because it's definitely not a situation where you hire people and it's just turnkey. You're rocking. A lot of training. A lot of kind of building towards goals and
just
kind of start coming around.
Like you're making mistakes. Okay, how do we solve this problem, etc.
Why is this not working? What do we got to do?
Yeah. And then, so we decided to, looking at a couple different lasers, we decided to go with or at least start doing demos, with Bystronic, and they have like a laser called the Bystar. And we demoed that like via Zoom or something like that, right? Like and they cut out some stuff for us, cut out some diff covers, and then they actually took us to some local shops that actually had the lasers, which was really cool because it's nice to actually talk to customers that have like real
experience on it. They're actually doing this every day. Yeah, that was pretty cool going down to, one of our vendors that we actually still work with, Excelsior. And that was awesome getting a tour of that facility because that is, where we want to be one day as far as capability. Those guys are killing it down there.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the other shop we went to was like Central Cal or something like that.
Central Cal Metals.
And they just do like laser cutting and bending. And that's it. And like no welding, nothing. But the story they had was really cool because they were like at one point like the biggest like laser shop in California. They had like 29 CO2 lasers.
32, they said.
Oh, 32.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So they went from that and they bought a Bystronic laser. I forget what size they got, but it was a fiber optic one.
Yeah, I think it was the biggest one at the time. I think it was like maybe a 6 or a 5 or something.
Like that.
Yeah.
So they went from 32 down to 3 fibers for the essentially, and they're doing probably more production than they were years ago, right?
And they started buying they started with one with the Auto Tower, full automation suite, So it's the badass robot system where it's loading sheets, pulling sheets, it's doing it all. And that guy Tom was telling us that they were able to take on so much more work that they didn't buy in 2 more. Just insane, man. Just insane, what technology can do. Just even over the span of, 15, 20 years of technology improvements, boom. It's just
fibers didn't come out until like 2006 or 7 or
I think so, in the mid-2000s.
Maybe like, And that place was cool. They had some really cool equipment, really cool automation.
Yeah, showed us some cool practices too, as far as what we need to do to scale up organizationally wise and just the flow of product, because that's a big thing. It's, if you got a million carts going every which way all day, they're just going to start crashing. Yeah, we got to ask them like, hey, what are some of the headaches you've dealt with, et cetera, just so we can try and be a little bit more prepped to make sure we're not like having those same problems. And obviously, I guess the only thing you could really go wrong with a laser is you crash it, right? It hits a piece of metal. So that was like just nest things this way, try and program it this way, so to keep
you're
the
not
way slow and go.
Yeah. So that was really, really, really beneficial to us.
Definitely opened some eyes as far as like, all right, this is, something we can obtain, something we can do, and we can do it really well,
Mm-hmm. And then I think like somewhat midway through the year there too, we started that sales office remodel, or Ryan was like really the one that was like, hey, this is what I want to do, and this is what we're doing, and just freaking organized the whole thing.
Yeah,
and,
he made it happen, man.
And executed it. Yeah, he just did, ton of work. So we knocked out and wall and put it on a new wall and created 2 offices. Now we used to have a break room. It was like a break room, office, sales office.
Yeah.
Now we turned the break room into 2 offices, and then just a bigger sales office.
Yeah. And that break room had become completely obsolete,
Yeah.
It was, we built that, like 6-7 years ago?
I think when we moved, like right when we moved in, so it was like 2013 or was it 2013?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. And that was to fit, maybe 15, 16 people.
Dang,
compared to 45.
I feel like that's crazy. We've been here that long, actually.
It is
in this location.
But yeah, so that was a cool project. Looking way better, and the goal, especially after all this COVID stuff, chills out or whatever, is to be able to have a legit showroom, so people come in, check out products, demo other products that you might not be able to touch and feel in person, such as like Decked or Fox or ARB products, things like that. Stuff you might not be able to just actually check out how something functions without having to buy it. And then be able to have a full suite of all the RuffStuff gear, and kind of put your hands on something and, really decide based on experience before you buy.
I think at this point we're still trying to figure out what we're going to do for power. And then so the complex we're on, we're renting from a family that's been here for like generations pretty much. And they used to manufacture like those portable buildings you always see like at schools and whatnot. And they stopped doing business in like 2006, but they've been pretty well off. So then they started renting to us, and now the place is pretty much full. And they built like brand new buildings. So we got lucky and jumped into that thing, and that had the power we needed to run the laser and move a couple lathes over, press brake, etc. So yeah, we got lucky with that building, and we're able to stay on site with our laser, because we're looking at, okay, maybe we can rent a facility off site and run our production, like run our manufacturing at that facility, and then stock, the shipping facility here at the current location.
Would have been such a nightmare.
Yeah, we'd have to like hire a driver, and and just like it's just,
there'd be one guy making trips all day long.
Yeah, and you see like even like as like a group of people, like I was talking earlier about like having meetings weekly and how important it is, because like we need to stay. Like once you spread people too far apart, like you lose that connection, like you lose communication. So imagine like us moving our facility somewhere else.
Even 2 miles away, man, it would be awful. It's like, compared to, 150 yards away.
Yeah, they'd like show up and be like, employees would probably never meet these other employees. And
exactly.
It's like, who's this guy? Like, yeah. So it's great. We are able to stay on the same location here.
Yeah, that really worked out with that space being opened up, and, us being able to work the power in there and be able to run air and all that. And
yep. And then I was actually supposed to go, I'm still bummed about this, but I was supposed to go to a jiu-jitsu camp.
Oh, out in Maine, huh?
In Maine, yeah, in August. And that got canceled because of COVID. So, but yeah, I'm like, the nice thing is they just rolled it over the next year. If it happens this year, we'll see. But
yeah, that's cool.
I hope so. Yeah, but I'm stoked about that. There's just a ton of people. It's like a summer camp. It's like on a lake, kayaking and whatever, just jiu-jitsu.
Big kid summer camp, man.
Wrestling, grappling, and
lobster.
Yeah. Yep. And then after the website, we're looking at like upgrade. We're looking at like more shipping fulfillment, just upgrading the current system to something else that works better.
Yeah, because that, what we've been using all of a sudden is kind of becoming obsolete and not just, on the cutting edge of what we needed.
Yeah.
And with our transition on our ERP system as well that we've been working on for a while, we kind of need something a little bit more sophisticated, more integratable and whatnot.
Yeah, and we're also pushing to like the cloud, and our current system is locally hosted, like on a server here. So it just changes things up a little bit and makes it easier to have something on the cloud that integrates with a cloud ERP system too.
Yeah, that was like about August, and that's actually when we kind of started to prep even for Black Friday sales event. Because a lot of people think, oh, it's Black Friday, it's like 1 week, but it is like 4 or 5 months of getting it after it and making it happen.
Make sure we have enough inventory and etc.
Yeah, because otherwise you're pulling your hair out, just having a bad time.
Marketing, like what are we doing?
Yeah. What's the battle plan for this whole event?
Yeah.
Right after that, man, that sales office was getting just about wrapped up, and we went ahead and pulled the trigger on that laser, the big Bystronic unit.
I think it was like yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think we were just confirming power. That took a little bit of time, just getting like electricians
that was the
in
biggest
here.
hiccup, really.
Before we knew the building had enough power, but we're like, hey, before I spend a bunch of money and get this thing shipped here, can someone come out here and tell me I'm right?
Show me what's up. Yeah.
So that was freaking awesome.
Yeah, that was a big check, but pretty cool one.
Yeah, a lot of people think we've had like a laser since like day one.
Yeah, we're just really good at making shit work.
Yeah. It's actually been a good choice, I believe, because when you're starting out, you don't want a lot of overhead, because when you make a mistake, it's drastic. But like when we can change the quantities that we order to adjust like the cash flow, that's super important. So like if you're starting out as like a new company, like it's more expensive, because you're buying the components at a higher rate, because the people that have that laser are making a profit off you. Yeah. But it makes sense as starting up, I believe.
Yeah, especially as growing a lot, you got to really invest in your people, and because you don't have anything without your people.
Yeah, they run the company, right? I mean, like everyone has like a role, but like you and I can't be doing everything, right?
No, we try to, but we can't do it all. At least not all at the same time. But so it's
not
like
the same time. Yeah,
kind of hard, but you got to make those priorities what you got to do first versus what you want to do first. But that's just how it goes. And then pretty much as soon as pulled the trigger on that laser, flew, who was it, Wyatt and Caleb out to Chicago.
Yep.
And they got trained up right in the Bystronic facilities, which if you ever get the chance, go to the Bystronic facilities in Schaumburg, Chicago. Yeah. It's spectacular. Just amazing what they have there. The automation, just the technology is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's so cool. They even have they have like the showroom floor, and they have like a floor that has like lasers that are like shipping out and also getting refurbished too. Because
the refurb program sounded pretty sweet.
Yeah, the refurb was awesome. Yeah, like I didn't even know about that until we got there. Actually, which is crazy.
I mean, how do they not push that? It's huge. Yeah. I mean, definitely after that, feedback from the guys working with the Bystronic team on figuring out exactly what we really did need. It was a no-brainer on what we're going to go,
Yeah, and they do the training they did out there was like operator training. So there's software to program lasers, and then there's the operator training. So I think most facilities or some facilities you might have a person that just sits in the office and is programming like purchase orders that come in, right? And they send that out to the shop floor. Then you have your operator that actually cuts those POs and makes it happen. But our guys are just doing both because they're awesome.
Yeah. And we got to make it work right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And, Wyatt and Caleb are actually, the hands-on side of the R&D team, so
it's like R&D and production.
Yeah. It's kind of shifted, which has definitely in a way taken, a step out of our new product production, because it's hard to keep doing new stuff when you're kind of in a way reinventing all your old products, making them files that you can cut and you can make them perfect, dialing in what tips, flows, even type of gas that you're going to use per part is totally, different when you're shooting, 16 gauge versus half inch,
Yeah.
And a lot of learning curves, man, but guys are getting it dialed in. Beautiful cuts, low dross, just looking good and quick too, man. And that's the thing, that Bystronic software is like, it's like using the actual operator interface is like using an iPad, Yeah. My niece could use it.
It's like a Tesla like screen, right?
Yeah,
like
it looks like
flat screen.
Yeah, exactly. And then even the nesting software is super sophisticated. So because of that, we were able to kind of really accelerate faster, honestly, than I was expecting.
Yeah.
We did some big jumps pretty quick as far as capability and production level. And instead of a slow ramp up, we pretty much dived in like a tsunami.
There's a couple cool things about that laser actually that I should talk about. I believe is the one of the things that really sold me too was like the breakaway tip. So when you crash, if it's like when you crash the machine,
you will crash that machine.
They actually told me the other day, like, hey, we finally used the breakaway tip the other day. So this breakaway tip, when you're cutting the sheet metal and a part flips up and the laser head traverses over it, it's going to hit it. It's going to crash. And they engineered this, it's like a nozzle or tip that holds the cutting tip, I guess. And when it hits it, it's designed to break away instead of damage more parts or push the sheet around or whatever. Yeah. So they even give you a little tool to it's like a little easy out. It pulls the broken piece out. You put the new thing in. There's self alignment, and then the funny thing actually is to like align it. I thought they were joking when they came back from training, but they said, yeah, like I said, what happens when you crash it like really bad and the head moves and it's out of alignment and whatever? And he's like, oh, you do a tape shot and blah blah. I'm like, well, what's a tape shot? And he's like, oh, you put a piece of tape over the like the laser head.
Bounce back, yeah.
No, so it cuts it burns a hole through and you can see and you hold a mirror up to see where it burned through and to see if it's aligned. I'm like, really? That's it. That's like that's the sophistication. So yeah, it's like just super basic. And but this one, since the breakaway tip. This is designed the breakaway. They said they just did it's called like a self alignment, and it self aligned because it barely moved, and they're good to go. Like they're back up and running quick. And then the head actually is super cool too because it apparently on most lasers you have to change. There's like focal lengths and whatnot for different materials that you're cutting, and you have to change these lenses out. And this one is the head on this is like a telescoping. Head, so it's like a telescope where it instead of changing the lenses or mirrors or whatever, it just telescopes out and changes it for you. Yeah, it does that automatically, so it saves a bunch of time and materials too. So
yeah, it's a kick-ass machine. If you're in the market for buying a laser and you're not sure, give us a call and we'll tell you which one to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then kind of fall starts coming around, right? And we started up a new leadership training program in-house, kind of getting people tuned up, to where we all need to be able to move forward as a group, because you can have one or two people trying to push the right thing or push the right culture, but if the whole team's on board, it's just a moot point.
Yeah, and when we started this, I remember talking with Zack, and we're like, man, like we train for everything else here. Like if you go in sales, you're going to be trained. If you go in shipping, you're going to be trained how to pack a box, and whatever you go in the welding, you're going to be trained on how we do our products. But we never did any leadership training at all. And we had leaders here and we're like, dude, we need to do this.
And at that point, everybody, just like anything, is just kind of making it work, learning on the fly, which is a great way to learn, but it's nice to have a little backing.
Yeah. And we've all been learning on the fly. And so, and also it's like a confidence thing. Like, are we qualified to like train leaders, but it's like, it's also our job, right? That's what we've been doing like indirectly for years. But the nice thing about teaching and training is like you get better on your own. You like now we're like, we're prepping every week for these meetings and we're studying stuff on our own. So like the more you learn and then try and explain it to someone, you learn like where you're lacking in too, as far as communication skills and just explaining things really.
Yeah. Be humble or be humbled.
Yeah.
That's for sure, man.
So that's been cool.
And it's been paying off. It's you get people from multiple different aspects, not just like the 8 managers that run the 8 different kind of groups, but they're kind of number 2s or sometimes even they're number 3s. Some people kind of co-lead a department, and getting all those guys in there really helps, or guys and gals. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we just started doing transferring, because Zack and I were like leading these training sessions, and we just transitioned over to having some of the like department heads or managers or anyone in the meeting actually can run like a meeting of their choice. And so we go over it with them beforehand, and we've had 2 now like that, and they're super awesome. Like better than like I'm surprised. Like I actually like, I'm totally surprised.
I'm like blown away, man.
I'm like, they're better. I'm actually like humbled because they're better than mine. Right? Yeah. They're just better presenters and good info. And I was genuinely like learning from each one too. So that was really cool.
Yeah, it's been a good program, man. And it's definitely different. And on paper, you think it'd be like, what do you mean we're going to take 30 minutes in the middle of the work week to go do this and just talk to each other? Like, we are busy. It's jam time. We're shipping, we're welding, we're machining, we're doing this, doing that. But it's worth it. It's always worth it every time. And hell, I learn something every week. So totally I'm hoping other people learn stuff too, because it seems to be beneficial. You see little improvements. You see people start using these, kind of lessons that we talk over and stuff. And it's for the betterment of the company and betterment of themselves. So it's cool. Yeah. I'm into it. And then, about October, that's when the laser came.
That's crazy. It just shows up in like a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Cross country, gets brought over and ready to roll. And probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks of getting installed. Well, assembled, and then we realized we put it in the wrong configuration.
Yes. Yeah, when we bought it, we're like, hey, can we put this in like this configuration? They're like, oh yeah, sure, but you have to order it that way. We didn't know that.
Yeah, so we just were like, yeah, we'll take that one.
Yeah, take that one. It's like the standard version. So we put it like one end of the shop, and then when the tech gets here, he's like, hey, this is backwards. This is backwards. The power's in the wrong spot. We're like, really?
Dummies.
And this thing's like 11,000 pounds, and we're like, oh crap,
it's huge.
So we're trying to do that the same day. The tech's just sitting here waiting for us, and it costs money. So, we ended up it took us like all day because we're like trying to figure out how to move this thing. But luckily, like I mentioned before, the people that own the property here have these big casters for moving those portable buildings around.
Yeah. So heavy equipment all just massive.
So
absolutely massive.
Yeah, it's like a giant beam with these huge wheels on it. So we lifted the laser up and blocked it. And would block it one corner at a time, just going around with one forklift, a big enough forklift, like an 8,000 pound lift. And then we were able to get the wheels under it and then use the forklift to steer it from the other end and turned it around.
I had to walk away, man. It stressed me out watching that big old expensive thing get shuffled around and just inch forward, inch back, inch forward, inch back. Yeah,
that was a ton of fun. So
and then our man Stacy from Bistronic just spent the next week and a half installing that sucker and wiring it together, and
something like that. I don't remember
10,000 wires later, he was done, and we started doing test cuts.
Yeah,
started getting that sucker moving.
Yeah, that was quick,
and that was kind of perfect timing because it was like serious, crunch time for Black Friday, and
we figured out like if we actually didn't have that month, our customers would have suffered for sure, because we didn't have like the inventory. Like normally when you're ordering stuff from other vendors, it's at least 2 weeks.
Yeah, minimum.
Maybe 3. Yeah. And so like if our inventory is like not on point, like our inventory counts are not on point, that means we're now 2 weeks behind. Like we ran out of stock. Customers might be waiting 2 weeks, but now we turn it down to like 2-3 days or same day sometimes.
Yeah.
And it just saved our butts, because we obviously
it kind of came down. We do it now or we do it in 2021, because we would not have the free time to do it with all the Black Friday, all the Christmas kind of time, because it's a busy time of the year at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely like a do or die kind of situation that we made the right call on. And yeah, I mean, the entire company is just going on all cylinders, everybody full throttle, bunch of overtime, people going every hour of the day, we're kicking ass at RuffStuff. But yeah, then we're kind of, just trying to figure out how this COVID stuff is going to affect everything, how it kind of kept spiraling out of control. It'd get better, it'd get worse, whatever.
Yeah, there's a bunch of spikes, obviously, during the holiday season. I think we actually had we had 5 or 6 people out at one, or like one, not the same time, because that would be
throughout the couple weeks.
But it was like,
or a couple months, I guess.
Yeah, we had through like a month and a half, we had 6 people out or whatever.
Yeah, we got really lucky with that, man. Super lucky with that.
Yeah, I think it's honestly, I feel like it has to be like the mask discipline, honestly, from spreading. Like I haven't even gotten a cold this year, actually.
I've gotten a cold this year. Sucked.
Yeah,
I still kind of feel it.
And so I don't know, where are we at now? So Black Friday, that freaking
just insane, absolutely insane. It was pretty cool is that we'd been busy, as hell, and we didn't really know how this was going to be. All the kind of business magazines and websites were like, oh, all Black Friday, Cyber Monday will be exclusively online, and yeah, man, it was pretty cool too, because like across every industry, just people were supporting American companies over anything else, which is rad. Just really, really buying as many American-made products as they could, which is cool.
Did we flew to Chicago in November, right? To go,
you and I,
yeah, and Chris.
Yeah, at the very beginning,
before Black Friday or after?
Oh no, that was December, man.
Was it?
Yeah, that was December 3rd or 4th.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I mean, what did we do out there? We got a laser, and all of a sudden we find the next
other problems, right?
Yeah.
More laser, more problems.
Yeah. So all of a sudden we realized, we can't bend stuff fast enough.
Yeah.
We can cut for 8+ hours a day. You can load a couple sheets before you leave, even let it do its thing, and you can cut 5, 6, 8 hours after hours of just letting it jam on 2 different sheets. And all of a sudden we were really backing up. I mean, like really, really backing up and bending. And, we got a couple guys that are, pretty proficient, but we got one main guy that bends, and Tim bends all day. And, if we could, we'd have Tim bend all night too, because we need it, And so we got to the point where it's like, all right, we got to pull the trigger on another press.
I just remembered, actually, I stayed late for like during the Black Friday nights to run the break and then load the lathes.
Yeah, I mean, you did that probably a couple weeks, man.
I think it's only like 3 nights, something like that.
I still feel bad about that. I live about an hour and 20 minutes or hour and 10 minutes away from the shop. Garett unfortunately lives a little closer, so he gets to come in a little more than me.
Yeah,
I still feel bad about that, man.
Yeah, we need to turn more misalignments down. We got behind, just behind on the inventory count, like I was talking about before, and so we just had to load the machines more. But whatever, no big deal.
During all the Black Friday and stuff, we kind of found that out, and it was when you see the whole team come together and everybody's going full throttle, I mean, like every department is just killing it. You start realizing like, all right, it's an equipment issue now. We need more gear.
Yeah.
And so, went out there with Chris.
Everyone's hit the red line. Yeah.
What do we do then? So, and then talking with Dan from Landmark Solutions, right?
Chad.
Chad. Yeah. And
you mean Dan Feist? Dan Feist is like
he's by Strong.
He's by Strong, like regional sales manager or something like that. Chad is the reseller of the of by Strong.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Which sounds weird, but you just can't go buy a laser through the laser company. You got to use the proper distributors. Distributor for California or West Coast or whatever. But they set us up to go out to Chicago, and pretty cool. Got to see some amazing gear. I mean, absolutely spectacular equipment.
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember what we saw there. So we went there specifically just for, they have an XP40 and XP80. One's like a 3-foot bed or 40 inches or something like that, and then the other one's like 66 or like
a little
6
over
feet.
5. Yeah,
I think it's 6. I think it was 6. Oh no, maybe it's 72 or 74. It's 6 feet. I remember that for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we're looking at both of those. But the stuff they had out there was like just bad, just like so freaking cool. They had this one, obviously they have like bigger brakes too that are 8 foot and I don't know how many tons, whatever. But you look through, behind the brake, and there's like this giant robotic arm, and there's tooling like stacked up inside the brake, and this robotic arm picks up the tooling and changes it out for you.
Unbelievable, dude.
Yeah,
absolutely unbelievable. And then remember the big sorting arm is like the robot arm. It was like 9 feet tall when it was
that one. I think runs the brake.
Oh, that was the brake one. Gotcha.
That one's actually instead of changing the tooling, that one goes in front of the press brake and replaces the operator.
And brings stuff from pallet to pallet. Yeah, unbelievable.
So that one actually puts the material through the brake. So you can actually have a robot changing tooling and a robot running the brake if you wanted to. The sorter, I think you're thinking of, there's like two robotic like arms. I'm trying to like think of something. It looks like what's that game where you go to like it's like the claw, like from Toy Story. Yeah. It looks like 2 of those, but with like suction cup arms so they come down.
T-Rex
it's not
arms,
cables, but it's like little T-Rex things that come down, and so your laser cuts all the parts out, it puts it on the bed, and then this thing actually unloads each component for you and palletizes it for you. Yeah. So instead of having a person do that, like, it's just this giant cool.
It's unbelievable what these things can do, man. I mean. Yeah. And then even the software to run it, like there's just a button that fixes your problems. If it's like, if the robot arm is hitting things, you hit a button and it fixes it. Like it's like the easy button.
So we're looking at, for the brake that we got the XP40, which is the smaller one. Because most of our parts we run obviously you guys know they're all offered parts. They're small. We do a couple of like long components like the XJ, like chassis reinforcements that are like
or something like that,
5 feet or whatever. Yeah, the bumpers are even like less than 3 feet. So on these little brakes that we got, they have another robotic arm that actually can, it's a mini one that can bend the products for you, and they have little attachments there. And like what Zach's talking about, the programming is so sick and so easy. Like it literally, it's like a video game where it's like 3 camera angles of this robot arm, and you put your component, like you tell it you have components in there, and it sees the component. like it's a 3D, like
You give it a
SolidWorks.
finished model. You know, you don't even have to tell it you want a 90 here and a 45 bend here. You know, it's literally just a finished 3D model.
Yeah, you program the bend ahead of time, like if a person were to do it, and then now you have to tell the robot like how to pick it up. And the way that you do that is like you have your parts all stacked in there virtually, like through in the program, and then the robot gets close to the part and you manually move it over. Like you just click and drag it like it's a robot arm, right? And then you put it close and it goes, yep, done, that's programmed. And then it goes to the next step, which is like aligning it, and then it has to flip it sometimes to grab it a different way, and then it bends it. And each move you just stop at the it brings it to that location, and then you just move the arm how you want it or close to the component, and it just figures it out. And what Zach was saying is like a lot of times the elbow or a component of the robotic arm is interfering with a piece of the structure inside, and it tells you, it's like, hey, here's an alarm, and there's just like you can just click and drag it and move it out of the way, or you hit this button and it just fixes everything.
Amazing.
So, yeah, that was like the
so
coolest
weird,
thing.
but so cool.
Yeah. And then I was asking the question, like, why don't you just push the fix everything button all the time? And he was like, well, sometimes it's not looking for the fastest way, it's just looking for the
safest way, essentially.
Yeah, no interference. And so you can, if it's like an extra second program, you can program out of it, and you got 10,000 parts, it's 10,000 seconds.
That's
so you can
quick,
get more stuff done. So that was freaking cool. What else did they have there? They had like a whole system. They had like, they had a giant pallet system for like, meaning like, it was like a storage area for raw material.
Oh yeah.
And it was like 25 feet tall and 50 feet long, and I don't even know how many like pallets were in there, but it automatically like loads into it's a tower full of those components, and that loads into the parts loader for the lasers. And they actually had one big tower and then a laser on each side, so they had two lasers running on one tower.
It was unbelievable what this thing could do, man. I mean, it could run a week by itself, just jamming.
And it's a pretty small footprint actually too. Like the way that footprint was, it was like, I don't know, what would you say, like it was like half of our bigger shop, like so our shop, the shop that the lasers in now is 7,500 square feet. They probably had it in half that.
Yeah. With room for forklift and everything, room to get in and actually use it. It was
with a press brake too over there.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, and that was that full auto suite where it was doing everything you could think of, And yeah, they had all kinds of cool stuff. Some Cluse robotic welders, a bunch of other different partnered brands and stuff. But it's pretty sweet, man.
That was. Remember when we went inside the robotic cell and like there's a robot arm sitting by your head, and you're like, is this thing gonna like rip my freaking arms off?
And the guy just literally says, as long as you don't hit the button, no. You're like, okay.
Yeah, as long as that door's open.
Yeah, pretty nice. Dude drove 6 hours just to show us something for about 20 minutes and then took off. Pretty nice guy.
Yeah,
pretty impressive.
Super cool.
But yeah, excellent experience over there. And got a killer dinner out of it. Got to go.
The steakhouse.
Yeah, it was tremendous. And then got to see some pretty next level gear. And that was now we got that sucker sitting in there. And what is it, Friday, tomorrow? Getting some hardcore training on there.
Yeah, they I don't know what the date is today. It's like the February 4th. They just got it installed a day ago.
The tech was out there, doing the final wrap up and whatnot.
So today, I think, right, is like the they have like a master tech, you said, or something coming out.
I think so, yeah.
And he does some like more involved training, and then on Monday and Tuesday of next week, we got lucky enough, instead of flying the guys back out to Chicago to do operator training in-house, they said, hey, can you guys host training at your facility? We said, yeah, heck yeah, we'd love to.
Yeah.
So they're just sending 4 people out to our facility to co-train on our machine, which is great for us because the guys can go sleep in their own bed and
exactly
work
the rest of their time instead of missing 2 days for one 6-hour session of training or 8-hour session of training.
Totally.
But pretty excited about that, man. And we got those bar feeders running now, and they are killing it. 12-footer is going pretty hard today, and we've had the smaller Haas unit running for about 2 weeks now. Yeah, and it's smooth, man.
Yeah, the Haas one was like because we put it on a Haas lathe, so it was like they integrate flawlessly. Yeah. Right, same length. Like just
took longer to line it up.
Yeah. The Edge one, since it's a different brand, and we put that on an ST20 lathe that was we bought it in 2016, but it's a 2015 model. So there's just obviously every year they make advances technologically, so they had to do a little bit more time on the training and a little bit more time on the connection. But after that, it's just straightforward,
Easy peasy.
Yeah, just now I have to just spend the time and program it and put in some safety protocols and stuff so we can run it later in the night and stuff.
Give it more of a complete runtime. And yeah, it's cool when our biggest problem now is like just figuring out how to build a bigger parts catcher. I mean, that's rad when our biggest problem is we can make more than what we can catch.
Yeah, that's
pretty cool.
Totally.
But we got some clever dudes and they're working on some cool ideas. And then, pretty much since all that gear's been going, it's just been full throttle production mode, making a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we've been trying to get essentially like geared up production wise, like Zach's saying, and then now we've been talking like we have all this equipment, and obviously with like when new things come in, like it's just everything's been disturbed. We're having like little new issues pop up, so we gotta solve all that stuff. So we're talking about trying to like let the dust settle, meaning like we gotta now pick up all the little components and figure out like how to make everything work together well. Now we have more production in our facility, which creates communication problems because how do we order that stuff? Yeah. How do we tell the guys the stuff's completed? How do we get it over there? There's just a lot of little logistics that happen. And so,
yeah, it's definitely not, buy the big laser.
Yeah.
Live life good.
Just do it.
Yeah. It's a lot of,
there's people involved. Yeah. So it takes communication and hard work. And if like you and I just bought a laser, we just go, hey man, this stuff's done. It's done. So here, let's move it over here.
Cots right out in front of it and be there all day, all night.
Yeah. So we got, multiple departments relying on stuff. We got customers asking questions, and that communication, that information needs to get to the customer. And
because it's a whole new supply chain, it's a whole new level of capability and,
quantity on hand. Like we got before we got the laser, we ended up getting a whole receiving warehouse because the lead times were so long. We had to order so much. Yeah. And that's just expensive on its own. Now we're stocking more inventory and another whole warehouse and pallet racking. And so
pretty impressive. New factory is looking pretty sweet.
Yeah. It's freaking cool. It's crazy. And what isn't like our, when's our anniversary coming up? It's like a 15-year, right?
Was the 4th? Is it today?
I forget.
I think it might be today.
I think it might be too.
I think today is the 15th anniversary, actually.
That's
today
awesome.
Or tomorrow. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I was just thinking about like the old shop, and I'm supposed to be looking for photos of that so we can post that stuff online for you guys just to see like the origins of, at least when I started working for the company, like a year after it started. Yeah. And I have some like old photos of like the lift in there with like, we had this old Ford Ranger, and just like the whole shop was just packed full of crap. And
you're shimmying between aisles.
I think it was like 1,200 square feet. It was like when I moved in, when we were in like Rancho.
That's crazy, man. These offices aren't even that small. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And before that, we had that little closet up in Grass Valley that was, smaller than this conference room. About half of that, maybe a little less than half.
That's awesome.
Probably 60 square feet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a heck of a ride, man. 15 years later. And and some of our biggest growth years and biggest development years, I'd say, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But even through all that, being super busy and overwhelmed with like COVID stuff, and then even just, new production capabilities, we still were able to crank out some new parts, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. We got some cool misalignment and spacers for shocks or coilovers for fitting like a COM8 or COM10 bearing, which it might sound like super stupid, but it can honestly be really hard to get these pieces from a shock company.
They are.
Which is just, if you lose one of them, you are actually screwed.
Yeah.
And you might, realistically have to go pay somebody to make it at a local shop.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to be able to have that capability to make these now in-house super easy and, sell them at an affordable rate. And that's what it's all about, making things actually affordable. We got some new taller leaf spring perches, fit like Dana 60, 4 9-inch axles like that for a 2.5-inch wide leaf spring, which, that's not too exciting. Then we got some, new tie-down kind of brackets. Got a new one of those coming out in the next week too. And yeah, kind of perfected some new stuff, working with our Haas VF4, adding a lot more diff covers to our capability and whatnot, as far as the easy, click and go CNC machining.
We didn't even talk about the VF4. We got that this year too.
Dude, was that this year?
Yeah.
I thought that was last year. Oh, that was this year.
Yeah, I think it showed up this year.
Jeez, man, that was a busy year.
So yeah,
forgot about that.
I'll talk about that real quick. So we bought like these really old CNC knee mills, which is just like it's like a big Bridgeport.
Yeah,
it's like a 5 or 8 horsepower mill CNC, so you can program it, but it's just old school, manual programming. I think you can plug a computer in it, but like we had to I think I had to put like a really old Windows version just to so it can communicate.
Windows 95 or something, so it'd speak to it.
Yeah, something dumb like that. And so that was, I think it ended up not even working. And so we just started manually programming stuff, and that was just to machine the diff covers flat. And we wanted to add more processes in there as far as like deburring. Because once you machine the surface, it puts burrs on the inside and outside, which we had to manually deburr. So we wanted to program that in there, and it was just, we were just having problems with them. And I think one of them even had like just component problems. And it's like, okay,
and they're old. The components are,
how do you find this stuff?
Yeah.
And we're just trying to be like, okay, how do we do this like a garage shop? Because we still have that mindset of like this 1,200 square foot or this closet garage up in Grass Valley, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do we? And so we're like just screw it. Let's get a freaking mill. And
we realized how dumb that decision was to buy 2 shitty old mills instead of just buying a nice new one ready to roll.
And really, it was like hurting the customer. It's like we can't get the stuff to them fast enough, and we're having issues with machining, or it's causing stress within the company as far as production and all that. So just pull the trigger, get this thing, and it's like up and running in a month and no problems at all.
Killing it.
Yeah, just
multiple covers at once.
Yeah,
so it's just easy to program.
Big ass mill.
Beautiful finish, mirror finish right out of the gate. Yeah. Single pass mirror finish is pretty damn hard to get.
Yeah, we're doing impressive. 2 covers at once, which is cool.
Yeah.
So, and it does the counterboard process too, right? Or is it not doing that yet?
I believe some covers they are. Some covers are having issues with, but I haven't checked in on that in a while, so they might have it worked out.
So the counterbores on the top where we weld the cap to the ring, the weld will interfere with the hole, and so we have to clearance that out so a bolt can fit.
Oh, they have. I think all covers have been updated to that now. Yeah. Okay. So there's no manual operation on that anymore. And before, all of this stuff was done manually.
Yeah, it does on every drill press or a like a manual mill.
Yeah.
Just like with like a counterboard bit, right?
Yep.
Just
Yeah, when we were over to Swetzer, that was like one of my first jobs.
Yeah.
Just counterboring, and that's when we used to countersink too. If anybody remembers that from back in the day.
Yeah, I had that.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah. That was hard to do because it had to be like perfectly aligned.
Oh, yeah. It's brutal, man.
Yeah, that was a lot of freaking extra work.
Yeah, it was, man, for $5 upcharge.
Yeah. It's like $5 countersunk bolts.
Yeah, it only takes 20 minutes.
Yeah, and then bits would go bad. And then So that's cool. I totally spaced out about that machine because
that thing's been a lifesaver, man. And it's been able to take a dude that had basic mill knowledge and allowed him to learn a lot more. And kind of get to the next level of machining, which is cool.
I think we're still doing the axle housings on the manual. But the goal, since we've been like adding so much machinery and so much so many more tasks to like our guys that program, they can only do so much, and they can only do like what's a priority, right? And the covers are a priority. All the lasers are a priority, obviously. The new press brakes are a priority. The bar feeds are a priority. So that's what I mean by like when the dust settles, like there's all these little tiny things that we need to focus on and start filling out.
Catch up.
Play catch up. And that's one of them is like, hey, we should obviously get the axle housings on that mill. It'd be sweet. It'd be a really great finish. We could
crank them out even faster.
Yeah, faster.
Yeah, man, that's the goal, right?
Yeah, because we drill the holes after they're welded on that, so that way they're perfect. So when we're welding, it doesn't warp everything around.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're talking about new products and stuff. That was covers. Did we do the sliders this year?
Yeah, that was this year. Yeah, that was I think kind of more towards the beginning of the year.
I think we've kind of talked.
We had some cool new apparel and whatnot, and
American ones are
pretty
cool.
Sweet. Able to find a company that makes all their apparel in the United States. Working with them is awesome.
Yeah.
Just switching over a bunch of old designs into new, more modern looking updated designs, which everybody likes that.
Definitely.
And some new U-bolt stuff with some bump stop mounts. It's pretty sweet. Just not as many products we normally put out, but we're definitely kind of held up in other places. But 2021, man, we got a lot of stuff that's coming out soon, coming out any day now. And I think now we're kind of getting to the point where we can really get back into new stuff, which is sweet.
Yeah.
That's, what we needed to be doing.
Yeah. Once we can get like Zach was saying earlier, like Caleb and Wyatt are the R&D guys, right? But they're also like programming all the machinery for us.
Yeah.
Which is,
they are busy.
Yeah. So they're super busy with that, and which means, product development lacks.
Yeah.
But we're, the nice thing is like, they know how to they know best practices now, and they're going to be, they're training people to come in and do some of that work for them. So yeah, they'll be freed up here shortly,
Yep. Gonna be able to start cranking out a lot more stuff. But yeah, 2020, weird year. A lot of weird stuff. A lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, and we appreciate like everyone that like has obviously been like buying from us, and the
support means everything.
Yeah, it does.
And continuing to support American manufacturing any way you can is definitely what you should be doing these days. In any aspect you can, you should invest in America.
Yep. And that's what we're doing, and we're going to keep doing that, and keep pushing that route. It's just going to take a little bit more time to get everything, but we're on the way.
Yeah, we're on the path.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
thank you all for listening to another random hour of banter and whatever.
Yeah, man, that was cool.
Oh yeah.
I guess that's it.
I guess that's all it is, right? All right. Well, yeah. If you're interested in making your 4-wheel drive vehicle wheel better, or, put it back together after KOH or whatever your shenanigans were this year, give us a call, 916-600-1945, or check us out, RuffStuffSpecialties.com. We got all the social media shit. We got everything you want to see us on. So go check it out.
Hell yeah. Yeah. If you guys have any like podcast guests that you want us to have on, you can social media, hit us up on like Instagram. The guys are always responding there, or you can actually email podcast@RuffStuffSpecialties.com.
Yeah.
And
send us your questions.
Questions.
It's we've done some Q&A in the past, and it's cool because there's a lot of it's an interesting job, and it's we're very lucky to work in our industry. We're very fortunate to get to do what we can do here, and there's a lot of neat stuff that goes on day to day. So send us your emails. Email us your questions, and we'll answer them.
Yep.
Right on.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Bye.